Hi, I'm Rick Dancer. I'm here to tell you that tonight and next week we have two amazing shows for you on a recent trip we had with a show we produced called Exploring in the Backstories. We went to Baker County, so they're going to air twice this month, every other week. So you'll get to see all kinds of things about Baker County. The other thing I wanted to tell you is we will no longer be producing Rick Dancer Television here on KEVU. KEVU has been a wonderful place for us for the last 10 years, and they've been treated us super well. But we're moving our productions over to Get Real with Rick Dancer on Facebook, Exploring in the Backstories on Facebook, and also onto our YouTube channels by the same name. So if you still want to see our stuff, you can come over there and see it. Still pay attention to KEVU. They got some amazing television programs on here. This is just going to be a change for us after 10 years. We kind of need to do some working around of other things. But I hope you enjoy the content. We will miss you, but hopefully we'll find you in another place, in another medium, somewhere soon. All right, enjoy the show. We've really enjoyed being with you. I'm not dead. That sounds like something interesting. Geyser Grand is one of the landmarks, a historic landmark in this town, and the guy who knows the history of this area, this is Dan the man.
What's up? Hello, Rick. How you doing?
So Dan, tell him about your company, what you do.
I run Go Wild American Adventures. We're an outdoor recreation company focused on getting people outside in fun ways, instilling in them responsible recreation tactics, and mainly just trying to have a wild good time in the outdoors in Baker City. So another thing we do is what we call a Taste of History downtown walking tour. That is, we stop at local establishments trying to support the local community, and we do a history walk as well as some tastings, vodka, wine, beer, cheese.
So why are we starting here? Let's go find out.
All right, we'll come in here. This is the U.S. Bank, sort of an odd first stop of a history tour, but the U.S. Bank here houses the Armstrong Nugget. The Armstrong Nugget is a good sort of indicator of what made Baker boom. Found in 1913 by a guy named George Armstrong. It's an 80.4 ounce gold nugget, today worth around $115,000, and it's right here displayed in this case.
Oh my gosh. So that's worth how much? $115,000 just for that big nugget in there, you guys. And then the poor guy actually went broke.
So the story goes, he sells the nugget to the bank at the time, and takes all that money, spends it on more prospecting, gold prospecting, and alcohol, and dies a poor drunk man.
So tell people, I mean, I think a lot of people know that gold was kind of what started Baker County, but kind of give us a picture of what this looks like.
All right, so people were passing through this area, Baker County, the Oregon Trail for a long time, through the 1800s. Mid 1861, someone finds gold here, and that's what causes people to stop. Before that, they were passing through the Willamette Valley on the Oregon Trail. That starts sort of the gold craze. People start moving to this area, prospecting for gold, and that's what leads to this sort of magnificent downtown. 1910, we have 10,000 people in this town, third biggest city in Oregon. Today we still have 10,000 people in this town.
So it hasn't grown a lot in
all
those years.
Yeah, so we sort of talk about these days, late 1800s to early 1900s, just sort of the boom town days of Baker. It was the queen city of the Inland Empire, queen city of mines, and that really was the Baker City heyday. Yeah.
So in the day, back in the day, it was timber, it was gold, first gold, then timber, and agriculture, so cattle and
right, so the agriculture's throughout that, but yeah, gold, timber, then agriculture, and today we're still in a very heavily agricultural-based economy.
But timber's not what it used to be, obviously.
No, what with like regulations and sort of trying to get away from more of that resource extraction economy. We're trying to move away from that, but still agriculture.
So what drives Baker today? I know, in fact, we were talking to Tim with Travel Baker County, and he said that it's a $49 million industry, tourism.
Yeah.
In Baker County, $49 million.
Right. Yeah, which is huge. And so that, I mean, especially the folks like myself and the businesses we support too, are hoping tourism is sort of the next economy in Baker, this agricultural, and then maybe tourism's the next one, tourism. Yeah.
So what are you going to show us?
What am I going to show us from here?
Yeah.
So we're going to go out this door. We're going to look at a couple of our partner businesses we work with as we do this history walk. A little winery in Eastern Oregon. She's called the Cheese Fairy. She sells cheese. A local chocolatier, local distillery. I think you already went to the brewery. Then we're going to end at the Geyser Grand, which is sort of a remnant of that golden past.
All right, let's go.
All right. The geyser's across from us right now. It's a great sort of example of both the preservation efforts that have gone in this town, but also the gold boom that led to that sort of luxurious early 1900s. You can see it's pretty similar. I mean, I have some photos here I could show you, but it's very similar to how it once was. That sort of your picturesque sort of Hollywood Wild West.
And you guys, we're going to be doing a tour of that too, separately. So we'll be showing you inside and out, and the stained glass window is going to blow you away.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so where are we going from here, Dan?
All right, we're going to head into Copper Belt. This is a really cool local winery, only Oregon winery in the Snake River AVA, really only winery in Eastern Oregon. And we work with them. We take their wine on our tours. We take all our history tours here. And funny thing, my business partner at Go Wild, he's actually working behind the wine bar today. So he's serving two functions.
That's a heck of a beard you got going there, dude, you know? So talk to me, my man. Who are you?
I'm Pat, and right now I'm working at Copper Belt Winery, the tasting room, Baker City.
So tell me about the winery.
So the winery is about 25 miles west of here in the Keating Valley, and that's where the winemaker, Travis Cook, actually grew up. And so when he went to college and got his degree, he actually stayed in the Willamette Valley for a little while and established some vineyards there before coming back a little bit before 2010 and started growing grapes in Eastern Oregon, which is not necessarily the place you think about growing grapes.
Why do you want them to see Eastern Oregon? What is it here that people miss?
Well, I mean, it's not, when you think of Oregon, I think a lot of people think Oregon is a great place, but I think a lot of times you're thinking about Portland, the Willamette Valley, and then there's this whole other side of Oregon that is really relatively unknown. And we have these two great mountain ranges here that are very accessible, and what I think is the best part is that right now trails, especially on the west side of Oregon, are getting really crowded. I mean, you have to get permits just to go camping in some spots, you know. And out here, I mean, we just took a group out, and you get a whole high mountain lake to yourself, which is it's not something you're going to get on the west side.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, cut that part out.
So how old are you?
I'm 27.
So what brings a 27-year-old to go, Baker, you know, there's not a nightlife as much as in Portland. There's not all the, you know what I mean? Yeah. How do you measure your paycheck?
I measure it by pretty much how much fun I'm having on the job every day, which is usually quite a bit. And what keeps me here is that, like I said, it's not too crowded, and it's unexplored, and there's a lot more to see and a lot more to show people, I guess.
Do you think more people your age are looking for that?
Yeah, I think there's kind of a pushback from being in the city and being surrounded by cell phones and screens, and I think people are wanting to get out a little more. They just don't remember how.
So you're here to show them?
Yes, exactly.
All right.
So you're the Cheese Fairy?
Yes, yeah, I am. So I bring in cheese from all over the world, and I cut to order, do cheese plates that pair up with my brother's wines, and yes, I bring in fabulous cheese like Mimolette, nice French cheddar that wanted to be a Gouda, so a little salty, nutty, and buttery.
So a cheese expert in Baker County. I think people might not think that would be something you'd have here.
No, well, I grew up here, born and raised, and so it was just kind of home for me already. And since my brother did wine, everybody kept saying, like, cheese and wine, they go together. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really, okay, I'll work with my brother.
What's the draw in Baker City?
You get a really nice, small home feel, and then, but you kind of still have your freedom, and it's not too far away from something, but far enough away.
Do you think people in the valley think sometimes that you're missing out here?
No, they're missing out. I've spent a lot of time away from Baker. That's what brought me back. I lived in Portland. I went to school in Corvallis. I moved to Colorado, spent a long time there. And it's a whole nother world over here. We're like in a little snow globe that's kind of created its own little community and comfort.
And you like that?
I love it. I love it. I want to raise my family here, and I'm so excited that I get to do this in Baker County. I love the look on people's faces when they walk in and they see this, and they're just like, I didn't expect this, and I get to do what I'm passionate about.
Well, of course you would have chocolate-covered chairs. Oh my word. Look at this. This is awesome.
So we're a chocolate shop and a gallery. We have chocolates that we make ourselves.
So why Baker County?
My husband and I both grew up here, and so this is a family enterprise. So my husband, my in-laws, and then...
Are people surprised that this is in Baker City?
Yes. So people will walk in and say, I can't believe this is in Baker. And I like to tell them, this is what I remember growing up here in this community, was places like this. And so there's kind of more of a revitalization to the way it was when we were growing up.
So Dan, thanks for showing us around.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, historic tour from a kid. I like that. You're smart.
Yeah,
you got your nut.
I'm still learning.
What I will tell you, about our food is that we prepare everything from scratch. So we make sure we hire people that have the passion for making food. That's one of the ingredients. The other one, we make sure that our recipes, they use the ingredients that we tell them to use. And before we put it into the market, we make sure we test, try it. What I love about this business is the people. I'm a people person, so I love to interact with people, and I love to make people feel good.
Abe over at Ranchito Grill gives away 2 free dinners to some lucky winner. Now, all you have to do is go in there, have dinner, put your name and your phone number in the little bucket underneath Rick Dancer TV, and you will be eligible, and you might be a winner for 2 free dinners from Ranchito Grill. Welcome to Exploring in the Backstories. I'm Rick Dancer.
And I'm Kathy Dancer.
And you guys, we are standing on the deck of a little cabin that sits underneath the Wallowa Mountains, and those are the Elkhorn?
Eagle Cap.
Eagle Cap. This is the Eagle Cap Wilderness, and up there, way up there, you can't see it, but you can sometimes at night, there are mines. That's where the mines were here that made this area really where people came, in a big area, bigger than Portland back in the day, because they wanted to get rich. And the manager of this place, introduce yourself, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Artley. My husband and I are the managers.
So tell me about what this is. So is this private property? Is it leased property?
So the lodge and cabins and the pack station all sit on private property, about 75 acres. But additionally, the owners also own the mine next door and all of the private property associated with that, except for some small town lots. So we actually access about 1,100 acres of private property. But our horse activities actually also take place on Forest Service property.
So what do you guys have here?
We have a little bit of everything. We have lodging, obviously. We have our restaurant where we do breakfast, lunch, dinner. We do horse activities.
We're riding cowboy on the Eagle. It's the Eagle Cap Wilderness, right?
We get a couple different groups here. Obviously, there's those who are interested in the history of the area, and so we can go tour the ghost town and some of the mines over that direction.
So I'm a cowboy. Did you know that? Oh, this is my horse.
It tends to be really safe. It tends to be really close.
Yeah.
That's Hoss. Woohoo! We're horseback riding in the Eagle Cap Wilderness.
Others are interested in just getting out into nature. We can do anywhere from an hour and a half day ride to an all-day ride and really get you back in there. Pack trips are always overnight. Those run from 2 to 7 days, and they can be a loop trip that we use our base camps, which are a pretty cushy trip, or all the way up to what we call a progressive, where you start on one side of the wilderness, go to the other side, and those are a much more, I'll call it hardcore trip. We call those, a mountain man trip because we take a lot less stuff.
So how many cabins and the lodge? How many rooms?
We have 5 cabins, 1 lodge room. We have 2 one-bedroom cabins and 3 two-bedroom cabins, and then the lodge room. And I always say I have 17 beds, including hide-a-beds. I have 24 pillows. So if you have a head in every pillow, we could handle 24 people. We are off-grid, so all of our power is from a diesel generator that charges battery systems a couple times a day. So every cabin has its own battery system. So we are very power conscious all the time, but they are fully stocked. Every cabin has a queen-size hide-a-bed in the main bedroom, and a queen-size bed in the bedroom, and a queen-size hide-a-bed in the sitting room.
God, these are spacious. I mean,
Yes.
for a little cabin, and then you guys got shower,
Yep.
and you got, of course, toilet. You've got your little in here. You got a little gas stove
Yep.
to cook
And
with.
what we do, we actually ask people don't cook in the cabins. So we have these for hot water for coffee and tea that we provide.
So at night when you sit out here in this place, and I know you're really busy, so taking time to think is probably rare, but when you, this is like, how could you live anywhere more perfectly, especially for a wilderness person? You're just on the edge.
It's so quiet, a lot of wildlife. It's not uncommon to see young black bears in the spring, and we have elk and deer and fox and just all sorts of neighbors, you might say. So that's our favorite part about it, yeah.
So, and you guys are giving a night away.
We are giving a night away, yes. You can come stay in one of our cabins and enjoy, especially there was a study that talked about it takes about 3 days for your mind to reset its circadian rhythms for sleeping. So, to get out where it's really quiet and you don't have the ambient light around, it's actually dark, can reset your entire circadian rhythms for a year to improve your sleep and whatnot. So we would encourage people to check that out and come out and see what it can do for you. And also just to enjoy the wilderness and the nature. So
again, somebody gets to win a night in one of these cabins, which would be so awesome.
Oh, it is. This is such a beautiful and quiet place. The minute you drive up, you just feel like this sense of peace.
And you guys, they do have dinner here. You have to make the reservation in addition to the prize you're winning. And then there is a dinner here, and so you'll come up here, but you're going to want to take a couple of extra nights. So just do it yourself. We want to thank our sponsors. I'm thinking of who you want to do.
Toyota and the Northwest Toyota dealers.
And I'll thank Travel Baker County for setting all this up and also sponsoring this show.
We're standing right in front of Rick's absolutely favorite beer of all time, Barley Brown.
So Barley Brown is a brewery here in Baker City, and we find them all over Oregon and throughout the valley, but they don't bottle, so it's all keg sales. And when you see it in one of our local places, I'm like, I'm getting Barley Brown.
He's all over it.
So we came in here last night and had a beer, and and here, look, this is no small choices. And so, yeah, we tasted a few to make sure we got the right thing. And this is right across the street, and you guys, they have a restaurant right over there. That's their restaurant, the Barley Brown's restaurant. You can get the beer there too, but this is where all the different samples are. And there's the man. That's Eli, the head brewer. So hang on just a sec, we're going to talk to him. So I'm really excited to meet you. You're kind of like, in my world, you're like a star. Eli, tell him your last name.
I'm Eli Dickinson, and I've been brewing here for 7 years.
How long has Barley Brown been a beer? That's all bees.
There's a lot of bees. The brew pub opened in '98, and so they've been brewing over there for 21 years now, and then we've been brewing over here at the this newer facility right across the street, as you saw, for 6 years.
You guys don't bottle. This is all keg sales.
Yeah, all kegs, all draft. We have done a couple of very small hand bottling releases, but only available here at the bar on rare occasions.
Well, I have to say, everyone we talk to, even in our town, everywhere we go, love barley brown. I mean, it is just so amazing. When we talk about it, they all, oh, it's the best beer. So it's kind of fun to actually be here and meet you and to see what you guys do.
So what is it, do you think, what do you guys do that makes it so good?
Well, it's a lot of work. I guess our water, we have great water here. It comes right out of the mountains, right over here to the west.
The Blue Mountains, right?
Yes, yeah. And so we got some great water and just a lot of care and a lot of just a lot of time.
So you went to school at OSU, and then you came back. So what was the draw to come back to Baker City after being gone? And I think it's just so interesting that you lived in the big city, big city, but compared, and you came back. So what was the draw to come back?
Well, that's kind of a tough one. I'd lived in Baker all my life. I've got generations of family that have lived here going back to the 1800s or in the area, and I left to go to school. I went to school at Lane Community College for 3 years, and then went up to Oregon State for 2 years. They've got a great fermentation science program there. Real hands-on, real good stuff there. Great people, and at the time that I was getting ready to graduate, I was looking at places to go, putting resumes out there, and there was an opportunity here. This expansion was in the works, and Sean Kelso, who had been here for 11 years prior to that, had just taken a job elsewhere, over at 10 Barrel in Boise, and so there was an opening, and the timing worked out, and I couldn't say no.
So Baker, that's funny because I have ties here in Haines.
Oh yeah.
My family is the Maxwells in Haines since the late 1800s, and still have a Century Farm out there. And I've never lived here in my life, but I feel like this is where I'm. You know what I mean? My roots start here.
Well, and it's good timing too. Right now, the 4th of July and the Haines Rodeo and fireworks up there. Yeah.
So why don't you show us around in the brewery, okay?
All right. Yeah. So our new, it's a JV Northwest brew house here. And we got it in 2013. When we first got it, we only had 4 fermenters, 3 20 barrels and a 40 barrel. And since then, we've expanded to add 4 more 40 barrels, more bright tank space, and pretty much maxed out our cooling capacity at the moment.
So, do you guys ever want a bottle?
I don't think we want to right now, if we can help it. Kegs are so much nicer. They're 100% reusable, as long as nobody pokes a hole in them. They're a lot easier to clean and maintain, and they don't take up as much space. There's a few other things, but I'm not gonna say we never will bottle, but it's not something that we're trying to push toward.
Is that why your beer tastes the way it does, do you think? I mean, real honestly.
I think that there's something to that. I think that keg beer, it's easier to keep keg beer, get the low oxygen levels that are needed for real hoppy beers to taste fresh and bright like they do. And bottles and cans, they can get oxidized real quick, and it's and just keeping it cold too. We got to keep the kegs refrigerated, and I think that is a part of it.
So you opened this in 2013, right. Is that correct? But you guys had already a lot of awards, didn't you, from your small and little brewery across in the back behind the restaurant, or a part of it, which is just absolutely crazy that you would get these awards, and then it took all those years, and now here you are, and you have this, and this has expanded quite fast, right?
We have done pretty good with expansions here in the first few years. We kind of, like I said, sort of maxed out. No plans for expanding right now, but yeah, those first few years here, we put in a lot of tanks. The medals prior to 2012, I can't take any credit for. Those were in the Sean Kelso years, but they did a lot in that small small brewery over there. In 2013, the first year that we opened over here, though, we won 5 medals at Great American Beer Festival and the Very Small Brewing Company of the Year.
What is this?
So this is our original almost 22-year-old 4-barrel brew house. I like to think that it's probably won more medals per barrel produced than any other brew house out there.
So this is the center of the Barley Brown universe. This is my Zen's place.
Oh yeah, this is where we do some fun things, some interesting little new beers, and some of the smaller, harder to get beers.
So tell them what you're doing right now.
Well, it's a beer we've done a couple times. We did a collaboration a few years back with a brewery, a Trinity brewery, and they do sour beers. So we made a sour IPA, and since then I've tried to duplicate it over here on our 4-barrel system a couple times, and it's a small batches. So, but we've got a lot of people that really like it. So what I've done here is I brewed the beer. I got it into the kettle. It's where the kettle souring part of it takes place. And little secret, I went and bought a half gallon of Nancy's low-fat yogurt, the freshest one I could find in the grocery store. And once I got it cooled down to the proper temperature, I just plopped that down in there and mixed it up. And I'm just about down to the pH that I'm looking for right now. And here in another hour or so, I'll turn that fire back on, and we'll get up to a boil and finish the process.
So most brewers don't use yogurt.
It's not unheard of, but it's not common entirely. No, but for kettle sours, it's not an unheard of thing.
So show me, like you're gonna look in there. Or?
Yeah. This. I don't know if you have light on there or not. So this is just some wort that's cooled down to about 105 degrees right now.
So it's fermenting.
It is, yeah. Not
souring.
Yeah, it's souring. Later we'll add the yeast and get more of that traditional fermentation of alcoholic fermentation. But right now there's a lactobacillus in there, along with some other cultures that are souring it to make it interesting.
Eli, thank you so much. Again, it's good. It's been good.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We'll come back tonight and taste. See you later.
Bye.
We are John and Dee Dee Fisher, currently living in McCall, Idaho, but our heart is in Haines, Oregon.
Hi, welcome to Baker County, Oregon. We're in Haines this morning. I'm Rick Dancer.
I'm Kathy Dancer.
And we want to thank our sponsors, Toyota and your Northwest Toyota dealers, and
Travel Baker County.
So this is the real West, and we're just lucky enough to be able to spend a little time here.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light?
Haines Rodeo. It's the biggest little rodeo in America. We really enjoy the locals. We have a lot of really young and local cowboys starting out here.
What do you love about it?
Everything. The people, the environment, the rodeo itself, and just doing it. The adrenaline is a lot of it, but I do it at home, and I cowboy for a living. That's what we do.
My mama used to say that there's a pendulum and things swing to extremes and then they come back to where they ought to be. I pray that's the case.
Yeah, people friendly, people kind.
Nice hometown.
Welcome to rural Oregon.
Yeah.